of King. It's time for the Wrestling Observer Extra. One more time for old time's sake. With Dave Meltzer, right here on The Law, live audio wrestling. And let's go, my now smoking with the best.
It's hour 2 of The Law, live audio wrestling. John Pollock here, filling in for Jason Agnew this week, alongside Dan the Mouth Labranski. In the next segment, we will be playing Title Bout Trivia, your chance to win an autographed copy of the new Lion's Pride, the Turbulent History of New Japan Pro Wrestling hardcover book that Chris Charlton has written. But at this time, as always, we head over to San Jose, California, and welcome in Dave Meltzer, the editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. No idea what we could possibly talk about tonight, Dave. My God, what a week it's been. Let's start off, though, with the Survivor Series and the obvious question coming out of this, the decision that they needed a top heel, and at least in the interim, it appears to be Sheamus is the choice that they're going ahead with. Surprised by this outcome.
Isn't everyone?
Yep, I am. I'm in shock still. I can't believe it.
It's like when I heard about it, it was like I couldn't believe it because it was just like, I mean, I had a lot of different ideas of what they could do, and that was certainly on the list of things they could do, and it was actually like the worst idea I could come up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any idea, Dave, if this was just really quick? Because this strikes me as one of those ones where they think the fans have everything figured out, so we're just going to swerve them for the sake of swerving them.
I don't think that's it. I think the idea behind it is that they want Roman Reigns to be a top babyface, and their idea is that if we give him a champion, that they're just going to hate so much that now they're going to want Roman Reigns to be the champion, and that's the mentality.
Right.
Now, if that's going to work, time will tell.
Yeah, that's funny because I was just thinking the same idea. But I mean, what a way to go about to get people to cheer your babyface with presenting them something they don't like. It could backfire.
It's like that. That kind of is what people would do in the past. It's just a different kind of way of doing it. But it was a last minute decision, by the way. I mean, It wasn't as if this was like the plan. I mean, they were debating stuff, during the morning and in the afternoon, and then in the late afternoon is when they came up with the idea that this was the direction they were going with. There were a lot of different ideas that were being thrown around.
Now, do you think this is a lengthy reign, or does he lose it tomorrow night on Raw?
Or it's not. I mean, I don't. I think it would make no sense for him to lose it next month. That's too early. But I could certainly see that, like, Reigns wins it at the Rumble, and then like Lesnar or Cena or somebody like that wins the Rumble, and
right.
then you got your Mania match. Because if he's going to hold it till Mania, I don't care if it's Roman Reigns or whoever's going to be going for the title. It's like that's a terrible, WrestleMania championship match.
Right.
I guess that's the bigger question, Dave, is that this was a golden opportunity that if you're going with a new top heel, let's have the best guy ready. Whereas this idea, Sheamus loses this title after a 2-month reign. Is he that much far ahead? And I think of all the choices, I'm least optimistic about this one. It was a golden opening, especially aligning them with Triple H, which Sheamus was.
Yeah, I mean, it's same old, same old. It's just Sheamus, who's not nearly as good a talker, and not nearly as fresh as Seth Rollins. Whereas if they had put Ambrose in there, at least you would have something new. But I think the feeling was that if Ambrose was there, there'd be people that would cheer Ambrose over Reigns. So they wanted a guy that would help Reigns. But I'm not sure that they didn't Lex Luger Reigns. I mean, it's like make him. You can only have a guy come close so many times.
Yeah.
And the people will just kind of say, okay, we've seen him come close. And again, even if they cheer him against Sheamus, that doesn't necessarily really mean they're going to like him. I think that they're mixing. Actually, I think the company in a lot of ways is mixing that up.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever Sheamus is missing. If he wins the title from Sheamus in 2 months or 4 months or whatever, he's still not going to have that.
Mm-hmm. This almost seems like with Sheamus, it's going to be like that kind of heat where, yeah, they're going to boo him, but they're not booing him because he's a heel. They're booing him because they don't want to see him.
Yeah, but they may think that that's the only kind of heat that's going to get Roman Reigns over, and I don't know that works.
Yeah,
that's the idea, and I guess we'll see. I think it's their way of manipulating the fans, and it's uncharted waters. It's always a fight between them and the fans over. It's been for years, ever since the Daniel Bryan thing, and even before that with Punk. It's a fight between them and the fans for their ability to manipulate the fans to what they want the fans to react to, and the fans, fighting it. And so they're trying to be. Sheamus is the attempt to be smarter than the fans, essentially.
I don't know if
the fans.
I don't know if it worked, but you know for sure, because Sheamus has always kind of been Hunter's project, that he's probably going to have it at least for a couple of months.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good couple of months.
No.
The other thing, too, is just did you, in that 10-man tag, the way that they treated him...
Exactly.
He was still doing comedy right up until the end. And even at the end, losing to Ryback, I don't know. It wasn't the kind of match where it seems like they were gearing this guy to be your next top heel. Yeah,
I think the whole idea was just to fool people. Unfortunately, to me, it just made it look like you have this weak guy as champion now. You got another Jack Swagger champion.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's what you want, especially now with so many injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with Cesaro, we got one more injury. And
what's the latest on that, Dave? Because we haven't spoken about that yet on the show. It's a shoulder injury, and I imagine
it's a shoulder injury. What I was told was that he may need surgery, but it's not 100%. But he was supposed to work the card tonight, and he was pulled from the card. So I guess he got hurt Monday night against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, because his match with Miz was really short on SmackDown. So I figured the injury must have happened by that point. They kept his match so short.
Right.
Well, a match they didn't keep short tonight, Dave, was the Charlotte Paige match. And I've got to say, for all the people that were trying to find anything positive coming out of that segment on Monday, that it added some level of heat to this, that Atlanta crowd sat on their hands for the majority of that match. And I thought that was a pretty big disappointment on this show.
Yeah, I would agree. They gave the women time, and the crowd just wasn't. But it's the whole portrayal of the women. I think from the very start, they portray them in a certain way, and that portrayal isn't worthy of a 15-minute match. If you want to treat them like they did in NXT with a clean slate, you could do it, but they didn't give them a clean slate. They basically plugged new girls into the same old, and gave them more time. But you're giving more time to stuff that before wasn't working anyway, and now you want it to work because you're calling it Divas Revolution. And so far that's been a major flop.
Yeah, it didn't work out well. And I feel bad for the girls because I thought the match itself wasn't that bad. It's just the crowd didn't react at all.
The match had some good points to it. It wasn't as good as some of the matches that they've had, but there were some cool spots. That spear off the barricade was pretty cool.
Right.
But it was very, very physical.
Yeah, I felt bad.
Far more than the women's matches usually are.
Mm-hmm. I just felt so bad for Charlotte when she went to do all her key spots. The crowd just didn't react to anything.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that this crowd really didn't know her key spots.
Well, you could be right. Yeah.
I guess, Dave, not to rehash everything from Monday, because I think everyone has made their thoughts very well known. What did you learn coming out of Monday? And more importantly, what do you feel the company learned coming out of this past Monday?
Well, the one thing I will say is if you watch the replay of the packages when they were showing the feud, they did eliminate edit all that stuff out. So I think that they do know that it was a mistake, so I guess that's the best you can hope for. I lost a lot of respect for the company. A lot. Every day it was more respect. What can you say? It's like it was a really bad idea that should have been stopped long before it got out there, and then when it got out, to blame her, who had nothing to do with it, to blame her, I thought that's the lowest of the low. The one thing that I'm glad of is that they didn't blame her so much that they took the championship from her.
Right.
But she didn't win because it was like a make good, because she was always supposed to win that match, from what I understand. But you just don't know, if they would take out the way that they are, if they would take out because what Rick said, even though Rick was trying to be as nice as he
did. He tried his best, on his podcast to not. But it was pretty obvious how he felt.
But it was those comments, the comments from him and Charlotte's mother, Ashley's mother. That really started the controversy.
Yeah.
Although, them doing it started the controversy because it happened on Monday night, and those comments weren't coming out until Tuesday. So.
A couple other things too, Dave. Flair was at the show tonight, but they decided not to use him, or were they not going to use him, or?
I think he was just there because he's there a lot, and she was in a key match, and that's it. I don't think that was so. I don't know. They did advertise Rick for a Stone Cold podcast, though.
Right. Yes, they did do that. The other thing too is the way this match ended with Charlotte and Paige. It really looked like that's the end of it. And I'm kind of curious as to who do you have as a heel in the women's division that you can put with Charlotte next.
Well, it was going to be Sasha Banks, but she was also supposed to get a win on this show that was changed. So I don't know. I guess Sasha Banks is the right call, and they do have a history of great matches. So I think that's the. No one's told me, but I'm guessing that's still the plan.
Before we wrap up, Dave, let's talk a bit about TNA's U.S. deal that they announced this week with Pop TV. I guess it feels like it's Groundhog Day in some ways because we're going back to the exact same conversation we had a year ago. What can be different this time around for Pop TV, and what can TNA do to ensure that a year from now we're not having the same conversations? Is this going to be
not send any silly emails?
That would be a start.
Yeah.
That would definitely be a start.
But they're starting at like a year ago they were so much stronger than they are now. So they're starting at a much lower level. And also the talent is a lot lower. I mean, if you really look at it, they lost so much talent in the last year. The thing that I'm going to be interested in to see like where they are is if they can get, guys like Austin Aries back. And I don't even know who else they could get back. I guess Gunner. I mean, there's guys out there that are fairly good, but Aries is the one that comes to mind because he's really good. Or if they could get, I don't know, Kurt to re-sign or something like that. Because it's kind of the talent situation there is really kind of sad right now.
Kurt was listed in the press release. Was that? I don't think that was a coincidence.
Yeah, his contract. Well, they start January 5th, and his contract ends at the end of January, so he'll probably
be there for a month.
The first couple of shows, but it is only for the first month. Yeah.
Well, it's certainly one that I feel that you look a year from now, are we going to run into the same advertising issues? And more importantly, if you're TNA, I mean, we've talked about it before that the current product was not connecting with your audience for whatever reason. People were not compelled by this show to go out and buy a ticket, go buy a pay-per-view.
Or even stick with watching TV, because look at how far the TV numbers have dropped this year.
Yeah.
And not just here, but in the UK as well.
Is this company capable of that level of an overhaul to present something new? Because that's what I anticipated on episode 1 of Destination America.
And we didn't get it.
No, it was right back to the same product. It was our audience is wrong, not us.
Yeah, the only thing is that they will have 6 weeks of that UK stuff, and last year's UK shows were very good. But they had so much more talent a year ago for the UK shows. So it's going to be tough. I mean, Bully Ray's another one that they had, who was one of their really faces of the company, and now he's. I will say this: they did a better job with him than WWE has done.
I'll say they've wasted him completely.
I mean, Dan, you were the one who said it last week that, you're talking about a new top heel. Here you've got this guy who really could be a great top heel, and look at where he's at. And we got Sheamus.
Exactly.
Not even in his league in that spot.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if they had put Bully Ray in the tournament, Dave, and let him get right to the end. People would have loved it.
Yeah.
Dave, we've got to get out of here. This past week, a fantastic issue of The Observer.
Yeah,
I very much
loved
encourage everyone to go check that out. What is coming up this week? I'm sure no shortage of news.
We're going to be covering the New Japan Tag Team Tournament, the Survivor Series. I think a bio of Don Fargo.
Nice.
It's either going to be Don Fargo or Tenryu, maybe both.
Ooh, wow.
I'm not sure which one yet, because I've already written the Fargo one, but I've already moved it because of the Bockwinkel one, so yeah.
Okay, well, look forward to reading both of those.
Well, thanks as always, Dave, and we will speak with you next week at the same time. Have a great week.
Okay, you guys have a great week, too.